The courtroom was packed the day my wife and I faced each other for the last time. She sat across from me with her high-powered lawyer, dressed in her usual elegance, and her eyes never once looked ashamed. She wanted $8.5 million from me, plus my family ranch that had been in my bloodline for generations. It wasn't just greed, it was cruelty. She knew what that land meant to me. It wasn't only acres of soil and cattle, it was my father's sweat, my grandfather's legacy, and my children's inheritance. I had given her everything during our marriage. Luxury vacations, expensive cars, and a life most only dream about. But when she filed for divorce, she turned into someone I barely recognized. Her demands were outrageous, as though she thought she could bleed me dry and walk away victorious. I could see the smug smile she tried to hide, confident the judge would side with her. After all, she had crafted herself as the victim, painting me as the cold, unfeeling husband. Her lawyers started presenting their case, listing the assets she wanted. The ranch was mentioned repeatedly. My stomach tightened each time. They said she deserved it because she had sacrificed years of her life in the marriage. But the truth was, she had spent those years cheating, lying, and scheming. I had stayed silent, collecting my evidence quietly, waiting for this very moment. When it was my turn, my lawyer handed me the document I had been waiting to reveal. It was just one piece of paper, but it had the power to end her game. I walked to the front, looked at the judge, and slid the paper across the table. "Your Honor," I said firmly, "this changes everything." My wife's expression shifted from arrogance to panic as her lawyer leaned in to read it. The paper was a prenuptial agreement she had conveniently forgotten. Signed and notarized years ago, it stated that in the event of divorce, she had no claim to my family ranch and no rights to any inheritance tied to it. It also limited her financial claims to a fraction of what she was asking. I remembered the night she signed it, laughing and telling me, "We'll never need this, but if it makes you happy, fine." Now that piece of paper stood between her greed and my family's future. The judge read it carefully and raised an eyebrow. My wife began whispering frantically to her lawyer, but her voice grew louder until the whole courtroom could hear her anger. She accused me of tricking her, of manipulating her into signing. But the dates, the signatures, and the notary stamp were all clear. The judge silenced her outburst with a gavel strike. Her confidence crumbled in minutes. That smile she wore like armor was gone, replaced with a look of fear. She realized she had lost, and not just a little. The agreement exposed her greed for what it truly was. The courtroom murmured, the tension thick enough to choke on. For once, the truth was on my side, undeniable and sharp. I didn't stop there. I presented bank statements, private messages, and photographs proving her affairs during our marriage. She had mocked my loyalty, thinking her secrets were safe. But every betrayal was documented. I wanted the court to see the real woman behind the glamorous mask. Her lawyer's face turned pale, unable to argue against hard evidence. The judge ruled swiftly. She would receive nothing close to her demands. The ranch remained in my possession, untouched, and her financial settlement was cut to almost nothing compared to what she thought she would get. The look on her face was priceless, like a thief caught red-handed, realizing the game was over. As we walked out of the courtroom, she glared at me with venom in her eyes. She thought she had played the perfect game of manipulation and deceit, but I had been one step ahead. My revenge wasn't loud or violent, it was silent and absolute. She had tried to strip me of everything, but in the end, I left her with nothing. That night, I drove out to the ranch. The sun was setting, painting the fields in gold. I stood by the fence, breathing in the familiar smell of earth and cattle. This land was safe. My father's promise was kept. I felt a wave of relief wash over me, mixed with satisfaction that she had been defeated on her own battlefield. Neighbors and friends who had worried about me soon came by to congratulate me. Word had spread about the courtroom showdown. They called me clever, strong, even ruthless. But I didn't care about the titles. All I cared about was that justice had been served and my family legacy had been protected. Meanwhile, she was left to face the ruins of her own greed. No money, no ranch, no victory. The life she thought she could control had slipped right through her fingers. I had taken back my power by being patient, by striking only when the time was right. That was my revenge, calculated, devastating, and unforgettable. And as I watched the stars appear above the ranch that night, I knew one thing for certain. She would never recover from this loss, not financially, not emotionally. She had played for millions, but I had played for my legacy, and I won.